What if the real reason people stopped reading books has nothing to do with being lazy? Most people say they don't have time. But those same people can spend 3 hours scrolling on their phones without even noticing. So maybe the problem is not time. Maybe the problem is attention. A few years ago, I noticed something strange about myself. I could watch short videos for an hour. I could read messages all day. I could even read long comments online. But when I opened a book, after 2 pages, my brain wanted to escape. I checked my phone. I looked out the window. I suddenly remembered things I needed to do. And I realized something uncomfortable. I was losing the ability to focus. And I don't think I'm the only one. Books used to be a normal part of everyday life. People carried novels on trains. Students read for fun after school. Even waiting rooms had magazines and books everywhere. Now most of those spaces are filled with screens. Fast content is everywhere. And books are competing against apps designed by thousands of people whose job is to keep your attention for as long as possible. That matters more than you think. Because reading books is not only about learning information. It changes the way you think. When you read, your brain slows down. You imagine things. You connect ideas. You stay with one thought for longer than 30 seconds. And today, that has become surprisingly rare. The first reason people stopped reading is simple. Modern content feels easier. Think about it. A book asks something from you. You need patience. You need silence. You need concentration. But social media gives you rewards immediately. New video. New image. New joke. New emotion. Your brain never has to work too hard. It's a little like fast food. Fast food is not always terrible because of the taste. In fact, it tastes great. The problem is that after eating it every day, normal healthy food starts to feel boring. The same thing happens with content. After years of short videos and endless scrolling, a book can feel slow and difficult, even if it's actually interesting. I saw this happen with a friend of mine. He told me he wanted to read more, so he bought 3 books in 1 month. He was excited. But every evening, instead of opening a book, he opened TikTok for 5 minutes. Suddenly it was midnight. He blamed himself for having no discipline. But honestly, discipline was only part of the problem. His attention had been trained for speed. And maybe yours has too. The second reason is that many people no longer read for pleasure. They read only for results. A lot of adults think every book must improve their career, teach a skill, or solve a problem. If a book doesn't make them more productive, they feel guilty reading it. So reading starts to feel like work. That's sad, because stories are one of the oldest human experiences. Before movies existed, before podcasts existed, people sat together and told stories. Stories help us understand emotions, relationships, fear, hope, ambition. They make us feel less alone. I remember reading a novel during a difficult period in my life. Nothing useful happened. I didn't become richer or more successful. But for a few hours every night, I felt calm. I felt connected to another human mind. And sometimes that matters more than productivity. The strange thing is that people often say they are mentally exhausted, but then spend the evening consuming content that makes their brain even more tired. Fast content keeps your mind moving all the time. A good book often does the opposite. It gives your brain room to breathe. The third reason people stopped reading is connected to identity. Many people secretly believe reading is not for them. Maybe they struggled with books at school. Maybe they think books are only for intellectual people. Or maybe they haven't finished a book in years, so now the idea feels uncomfortable. But reading is not a personality type. It's a habit. Nobody says, I'm just not a music person after hearing one bad song. Nobody says, exercise isn't for me after one difficult workout. Yet people give up on books very quickly. The truth is, most people simply haven't found the right book yet. A woman I know hated reading for almost 10 years. Then someone gave her a mystery novel before a long flight. She finished the entire book on the plane. After that, she started reading regularly. Not because she suddenly became smarter, but because she finally experienced what reading can feel like when the book truly connects with you. And this is important. Reading should not feel like punishment. You do not need to force yourself through books you hate just because they are popular or important. If a book makes you bored after 50 pages, maybe it's the wrong book. That's okay. Reading is personal. So what can you actually do if you want to read more again? Start smaller than you think. Don't begin with a giant 500-page classic that feels like homework. Choose something genuinely interesting. Read 10 pages before sleeping. Leave your phone in another room for 20 minutes. That's it. The goal is not to become a perfect reader overnight. The goal is to rebuild your attention little by little. And here's something surprising. After a few weeks, many people notice other changes too. They feel calmer. They think more clearly. Conversations become easier. Their imagination becomes stronger again. Because reading trains something that modern life constantly destroys, your ability to stay present. You don't need to read 100 books a year. You don't need expensive shelves full of novels. You just need moments without noise. Moments where your mind can slow down enough to hear its own thoughts again. And maybe that's why books still matter. Not because they make you look intelligent. Not because successful people recommend them online. But because in a world fighting for every second of your attention, opening a book is one of the few times you truly choose where your mind goes. And these days, that choice is more powerful than ever.